for the script, it was just the idea was a huge musical number on a packed freeway where we meet all of these denizens of Los Angeles, all these dreamers who come here for one reason or another, and have things they want to do and have things they want to make, but haven't accomplished what they want yet. So it's this very on the face of it, happy, excited song, but each of these characters that steps out of their cars betrays kind of a sadness and a yearning, beneath the fast tempo and the big orchestration of it all. It's just a real, getting back to what John was getting at, songs serve different purposes. It's a real world-establishing song, because none of these characters, we're not going to see any of these characters again, and each of them has a narrative, but it's not really setting forth any important narrative in the movie. It's about sort of setting up the world, setting up the rules, saying, hey, this is going to be a musical, establishing, a theme of the movie, which is dreaming and, ambition.
And David, from the very first draft, it was an entire freeway, gridlock, people jump out of the cars, start singing from page one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, like Justin was saying, it was kind of, part of the idea was not just to try to use, something that I think we can all hate about, our lives in Los Angeles, sort of daily grind, be stuck in gridlock. I like the idea of basically, making what I want to be a love letter to the city ultimately, having that start with something that we could all kind of agree is not something we love. And also, as Justin was saying, have it start very kind of loudly and clearly as a musical so that you establish your rules and your grammar right off the bat.
The rules and grammar apply to a lot of it. They apply to the cinematography, they apply to the editing, they also apply to the costume design in terms of, I don't know how you would define it, a heightened reality, but certainly something that's grounded in the real world. In your initial conversations with Damien about what the show is going to look like, what were the kinds of things you were referencing, and what were the rules that musicals give you to kind of expand upon what would be kind of considered totally realistic?
Well, I think you nailed it on the head. Your first sentence which is the film is based, the clothes are all real, they're just a heightened form of reality. And the traffic scene in the beginning, we talked about it very early on being like, let's make it more earth tones and really normal. And then as we filmed it last or towards the end, and during the course of shooting, that began to change. And Damien and the producers and myself felt strongly that it should sort of tell you right off the bat what's about to happen. And so there's a mixture of like real clothes, but just brighter colors and stylistically nothing that's too on point and too trendy it's more classic. That was my approach, to sort of make it a timeless sort of presentation as opposed to this is spring 2016.
And I suspect actors fall in love with movies at different points, and they really fall in love with the idea of being in the movie at a different point. When you get to the ending of this movie and you read what Damien has written in terms of how the math of it all works and what is real and what is imagined, does that play a pivotal role in your deciding that you want to be a part of this film?
Yeah, I think the ending was my very favorite part of the movie. I love that everything kind of built to that final 10 minutes, and that was very much on the page. And I always kind of repeat that one of the lines that Damien had written in the end sequence, in midst of this kind of dream sequence was, it's a love more perfect than real love could ever be, and or a love more beautiful than real love could ever be. And I think you feel that when you see it in the end. It's this kind of beautiful, flawless version of what love is, and they obviously are not together in the end. And that killed me reading that.
And it really kills you. I think it really kills everybody when it's an 8mm too. There's something about 8mm that is just heartbreaking. I don't know what that is. Damien, when you were putting that scene together visually in your mind and composing it visually, how was the look decided of what it was going to look like, the imagined versus the real life?
I think it was and flow, I guess, is a sequence. So I think at the outset, you know, and Mary and I would talk about this as well, like, you know, it needed to just grow out of the stuff we'd already seen in the movie, just be a kind of what-if version of that, which made for a somewhat, you know, somewhat funny shooting process that, you know, we would, in many of the scenes in the movie, we would shoot the real version of that scene, and then kind of, you know, and okay, now everyone get back together and suddenly start playing playback, and we would do the musical fantasy version of that same scene. And, you know, either suddenly J.K. snapping his fingers, or John Legend is doing a little spin around the table. And so it was these little kind of, you know, peppered instances where otherwise the look of the film wouldn't change at all. It would just be the content. And then the idea was to kind of build from that. The way Justin had composed the music was for it to kind of build from that into a pure Fantasia, where ultimately the climax would be just pure painted backdrops and outfits that obviously are kind of pure fantasy in a way, and pure classic Hollywood. You know, ultimately build to a section of the movie where finally we could sort of indulge in all the artifice, because it became about the artifice of it.
It's such a great way of storytelling though, like to repeat and to use the same clothing and to say, like, so the audience, tonight, I mean, I saw the movie again, and like to come up here right after, like I had to like put myself together in the bathroom. I should not have done that, it was not a good choice, but the storytelling of that, like as an audience member and seeing those, like the audience, I could tell, like, oh, we've been here before, it's so effective. And that was Damien, like, that was I remember it was a question of mine, like, I had broken down the script and, like, big question mark, is this the same change? And, like, that, it was definitive in his mind before we ever started going, and it's so, as an audience member, I don't know if you guys agree, but wow, it's just like,
Yes.
oh, it's heart-wrenching. Anyway, sorry.
It was not an easy proposition. You know, we're going to do a musical not based on, you know, kind of anything that we've heard or seen before, and most of us hadn't done, you know, especially people on screen like Emma hadn't done screen musicals before. So we were all kind of jumping, you know, into the deep end together, and I think that made for a very intense prep period, you know, and a necessarily long prep period where we all of us were housed together in kind of bunch of warehouses, figuring out, you know, sets next to costumes, next to dance rehearsal, next to Justin's office, next to piano and everything, just trying to figure out how this thing would balance and how it would work together. But, you know, I think what was great about that was by the time we got on set, we were sort of like a family already, and we were kind of speaking the same language. Prep was the time we spent to get on that same page, to start speaking the same language. And then, yeah, then once we were shooting, I was like surprised actually at how much fun I had shooting it, because I normally think of shooting as like the kind of necessary evil you go through to get to the editing room. Shooting feels like it's like
A lot of knowing murmurs from the audience.
Well, it's just kind of that sort of frustrating thing about filmmaking, which is like, unlike most art forms, it's an art form where you have a gun to your head and a stopwatch the whole time. Going like, hurry up, you know. And it's just like you feel this intensity, and yet you're trying to be, you know, organic and emotional and expressive with that intensity. That to me is the paradox of shooting, and why I normally don't love it. But on this occasion, there was just, even though we didn't have a very long schedule, there was just a spirit of play and playfulness, and a lot of that came from Brian and Emma and the rest of the cast. You know, they kind of set the tone for all of us.
We had a lot of discussion about that before we started shooting, you know, that kind of, that feeling and how we could relate to that in that way. But I also think there were moments during shooting, because you are running from one place to another so frequently, and you know, waiting and going really quickly and then you're done. Because this was all shot on location in a city like this, you could step back in these moments and see this gorgeous magic hour and the skyline, or, you know, the observatory, and literally pulling up the same shot that they used for Rebel Without a Cause, which is the, you know, intention of that scene. And there were moments throughout shooting where I felt that I was able to step out of it and see what it was that we were making and paying tribute to, and so it afforded me, I guess, a lot of opportunities to do that on this.
Damien, in addition to Emma and Ryan, another big star of this film is the city of Los Angeles itself, and the way in which you use locations, the way in which you look at the city. As somebody who has lived here and not lived here how did you want to cast the city itself, and did it force you to kind of reevaluate your relationship to Los Angeles as you're making the film, or at least scouting it?
Yeah, I think it was this wonderful process, kind of scouting this movie, because there were certain things that were written in the script, early on, like Griffith, or certain other locations Angel's Flight, that I wanted to either include or showcase or pay tribute to. But a lot of the process wound up, a lot of locations we just discovered during scouting, and which kind of were excuses for me to like be a tourist in LA again, really, and kind of just explore these nooks and crannies in the city, many of which wound up, on screen in the movie. A lot of times guided by our production designer, David Wasco, who just knows LA like no one else, and just really sort of, not just knows LA as a city, but knows kind of ways of putting it on screen, or suggesting ways of putting it on screen that we haven't seen before. And certainly designed some of the to me iconic recent, LA movies like Pulp Fiction and Collateral. And, so I really relied on his guidance a lot to sort of, where to look and what kind of places to look out for. But it was this great kind of tour of LA's history that I think definitely inspired me, inspired all of us.